I think as you see what's happening here is that there's so much opportunity in different industries, and you students, I think, are getting a really good taste of how this is going to impact your life and maybe even the direction you want to go in looking for jobs as you get a little bit older. Right now, I'd like to just thank our corporate sponsor for today, who's sponsoring this road show. It's MDU Resources. Really appreciate them for being part of our program and being a major sponsor. I'm going to move into our next presenter, and I think you're going to really enjoy this. He's brought a drone with him. And Mike's a good friend of mine, Mike Mabin with Mabu Advertising. And his presentation is Shutter Pilots. He's going to be talking a little bit about 3D animation and what that's impacting presentations, PowerPoints, different types of applications for the advertising and the marketing segment. So I'd like to turn it over to Mike now and let him talk a little bit about what he's been doing in this advancing industry. And I know that students, you guys are going to be leaving here, but I really wanted you to see and hear about what Mike and his company are doing. So, Mike.
Thank you, Dave. Can you hear me out there? Well, raise your hand if you think this technology is just really cool and exciting, huh? Yeah, I'm with you. I'm like a kid at Christmas again, thinking that just got the coolest toy around, but the reality is that these aren't toys. You know, they're very sophisticated pieces of technology that are really a convergence of all kinds of technologies, everything from, you know, the aviation industry to digital imaging to battery technology to Wi-Fi, GPS, and all of that. This particular unit is produced by a company called DJI, which I believe produces that Phantom as well. They're one of the industry leaders, and this is called the Inspire One. I can talk about some of the kind of advantages that this has over some of the other models, but I know that some of you need to head back in a relatively short amount of time. I was going to do demos later, but we'll try to build a demo as part of this presentation as well, so you can actually see this fly. Okay, so we'll do that in just a moment. I'll go through a little bit of an introduction here. So once again, my name is Mike Mabin. I'm a co-owner of a company called Shutter Pilots. My partner is Ed Sargent, and he and his wife just had their second child over this past weekend, so he's elsewhere. Found out where his priorities are, I guess, huh? So I'm going to go solo today. And he and I, since you probably know that you can't do this commercially for a fee right now because of FAA regulations unless you have exemption to do so. So we're pretty much flying for the fun of it. We're flying for free, we say, instead of for a fee. But that's our Shutter Pilots company that we'll be talking about today. During my day job, as well as Ed's, we work at a company called Agency Mabu, and it's a marketing and advertising company, and we get to do all the kind of creative things that I'll be talking about short of the aerial imaging. But basically, we're just marrying aerial imaging with all of the kind of production things that we do, whether it's 3D or animation or web development, and integrating all these technologies together. The Shutter Pilots name and logo was actually produced by a couple of our graphic designers at Agency Mabu, and you can see that the foundation is the traditional aviator, just that person that is just all about the love of flying. The foundation of it is built on cinematography and film, so you can see the film plane there, and then down below you can see some of the technologies such as GPS and wireless and radio remote control, all incorporated into the logo. Today I'm going to talk about how we're using aerial imaging and marrying it with virtual environments, creating examples of how we can, one of the case studies that we'll share is the Double Ditch project that we're doing with the North Dakota State Historical Society, where we're taking aerial footage of an Indian village, and then we're overlaying that with 3D models of the earth lodges to kind of bring back the Indian village to life from what it was 200, 300, 400 years ago. Ed and I, our backgrounds are kind of this marriage of science and art. My background is I went a long time ago to Minneapolis College of Art and Design for filmmaking, photography, and video. The 35 years that I've been working in the industry has been on the creative side, the marketing and advertising side. Ed is from England, and he went to a college in England where he majored in computer visualization and 3D animation. And his past experience includes working on Hollywood films, Batman Begins and Harry Potter's Goblet of Fire. And so we're bringing together our interests in those technologies, coupled with our love of remote control flying. Both of us have had an interest and have been flying radio controlled fixed wing in days gone by. So when the quadcopters came out, we were all over it. This is an example of some of the things that inspired us as far as getting us going and showing us what this technology enables you to do. This is a group called Fiction, and they were doing a test with their Phantom as to what its capabilities are. And it amazes me. I mean, you'd never be able to obviously take any kind of film equipment or helicopter or anything in there to get this kind of footage that they're going through a parking garage and flying right outside an opening. So the capabilities that these units provide are just amazing. Here's an example of a filmmaker called Hatem Naji. The Kidnapping is the movie, and they used aerial imaging kind of coupled with not only drones but also traditional film like jibs and cranes and helicopters and so forth, and it's kind of a marriage of the different technologies. This is an example of the band OK Go, where they actually used a copter. This was shot in one shot for a video of their song, I Won't Let You Go, I Won't Let You Down. You probably have already heard, but I'll just go through it quickly. I've got filming for fun versus piloting for profit. We're out there doing this recreationally as a hobby. We hope to someday do it for a fee instead of for free. And to that, we have applied for an exemption with the FAA to use aerial photography coupled with 3D animation, and we're still in that process of review and approval. But until that time, we're doing projects with clients on a kind of a value add, no cost basis. And one of those that we'll share today in just a moment. The different types of quadcopters we use, we have Phantom series, we have the Vision Plus 2, as well as this Thursday, I can't wait till it arrives, we have a Phantom 3 that we'll soon be using as well. And then you see this unit is the Inspire 1. I'm going to take this out and show you how it flies. One of the unique advantages of this particular unit over like the Phantom is the rotors actually lift up, so it gives you a 360-degree unimpeded view for your camera, whereas on the Phantom and other similar units, you've got the landing gear that you have to deal with, as well as the rotors above. And so as it pitches and turns, oftentimes you'll see the rotors or the landing gear, whereas with the Inspire, you get that full 360 unimpeded view. I did shoot some footage here just to show you both the Phantom and the Inspire flying. We were a couple of weeks ago when it was nice outside. We were up north part of Bismarck flying over one of the water towers. So while I'm getting this set up to actually show you a real-time demo, I'll play this so you can kind of see both of these units flying, the Phantom and the Inspire. We're just calibrating it for its home site. So if it loses connectivity, it will automatically come back to its home site. If it runs out of battery, it'll do the same. Just set it there. So that's my partner Ed. The nice thing about the Inspire is you can have dual controls, so one can be the pilot and one can be the camera operator. It gives you a lot more capability when you break those two functions in apart. So here you see the Phantom flying, and you can see the rotors. You know, in post-production we're able to take those out of the shot, but it just adds some additional work in order to do that. Whereas we typically don't have to do that with the Inspire. Probably at about 200 feet high, and the regulations as far as FAA has for hobby and recreational use, you can't go above 400 feet, but that is quite high when you actually take it that high. And I think we've been up with the Inspire about 350 feet is the extent of how high we got up. And this is the Inspire. You can see how the rotors, once it's off the ground, the rotors will lift. And so you have that full 360 unimpeded view. Ed's able to control the camera simultaneously, whereas all I need to worry about is flying the copter. While you're taking a look at that, we'll fire this up and see if we can take it up in the air and show you how those rotors lift. Take it around in there a bit, drop it back down, and continue with the presentation. So we'll contact. Right now I'm able to actually view on the screen the camera, and I'm able to control the record or photo function. I can go back and forth between photo or video. So I'm seeing the actual view of the camera real time. It's got a built-in wireless system, and so it's directly linked to... Yes, sir? It is. You download an app. Yep. So we'll go take off. We'll lift the rotors. Spin it a little bit. I'm just going to do a box, you know, straight out, left, right, and back. Go forward. Right now it's GPS enabled, but this particular unit is also designed for flying indoors. It has a visual positioning system that works much like a radar, like a bat would work. So you can see that it's very stable. Even though it's flying indoors. So forward. I'm going to track left. Pull it back. And track right. The control also allows you to do a 360. So if I want to turn around and get a shot while it's hovering, it also has an auto land if you want to just let the unit land it itself. Now I'm going to bring it down, so I'm going to drop the rotors back into a land position and just slowly bring it back down. When you put it in the auto land, it goes a lot faster than I go. And cut the motors. So it gives you just a quick idea of what it's like to fly one of these. And I know some of you have to leave, but I'll stick around and we can check it out after the presentation as well. Just a couple of the things I want to show on the 3D. Do we have time to do that? Okay. We use common terminology from kind of the cinematography industry when Ed and I are out flying this, so he knows and I know what our flight patterns are going to be. Pans, tilts, tracking, so we communicate with one another using film language. This is an example of some footage that we had taken at one of the local hospitals earlier this year. This is an example of a crane. I mean, you used to have to actually buy physical cranes to do that kind of shot. A flyover, a vehicle could never really do that. I mean, you could, I suppose, with a helicopter, but to get that low and have that kind of, is only kind of Hollywood stuff on a closed set. So that's an example out on the river where we did a flyover. Here, again, we've got dual control, so I'm able to fly to one side. Ed's able to pan the camera as we're coming back with the subjects. Then I'm able to track right alongside the subjects, varying whatever speed they're going. So the capabilities to actually control the camera in a very kind of confined environment is really quite amazing. This is a Peace Park down by the Bismarck Parks and Rec office. Just showing an example. We were at the Dakota Zoo. We took some photos or some video of the tigers and buffalo and some of the other animals this past winter. All of this is obviously done with permission and assistance by the clients that we work with. Here we're probably about 200 feet in the air. This is an indoor shot of the Belmehus auditorium showing its indoor flight capabilities. In that particular case, we didn't have GPS connectivity, so we were able to just fly with the internal vision positioning system. I know folks have to go here, so I just want to really quickly go through. We go through a very structured process every time we fly for safety and also for quality purposes. We always make sure we check out the location in advance. We get permission. We have very detailed checklists in terms of the technology and going through setting up, making sure the batteries and the Wi-Fi and the GPS and all the systems are a green light go. We're very careful to not put people and property at risk, like flying over people or things like that, because these things do crash, and you don't want to be in a situation where you're putting anybody at risk. We always test the controls and the aircraft before we put them up in the air. Then we prepare a shot list. That's an example. This is the case study here. This is, again, double ditch north of Bismarck. We were just going to do a straight flyover from the river. Then we were going to do from south to north across the site. And then we were going to do a 360 loop. And here's an example of the actual footage. A little bit difficult to see, but if you're familiar with the double ditch area up north, it was once a Mandan Indian village up until about the 1780s, when there was a smallpox epidemic that kind of forced them to move, and it was abandoned at that time. And so you can see where all the depressions are, where the earth lodges were at one time, and that's what we're doing. We're recreating this environment with 3D earth lodges. Here's a second shot where we just went straight north to south. And then we also did a 360, but for sake of time, I'm going to click out of this. You can also set these to run waypoints, which you may have already heard, so you can automatically set a path and press go, and away it goes. So you take the control away from the pilot, then all you have to worry about is the camera action, which is a really nice feature as well. This project, the case study, we actually built 3D models. This is Ed's work. And so we patterned these after the Honest Land Village, which is out at Fort Lincoln, and build the models. And then we put it into a 3D environment where we built wireframes of the earth lodges themselves. And then we recreated the earth lodges in a 3D environment where we built the textures and the landscape and all of the colorations and the shading and all of that. And this is kind of a combination of graphic designers and animators building these models. And then we actually mapped out the footage. You can see the points here that map out the actual aerial footage in a 3D environment, and then we're able to overlay those 3D models with the real footage to once again recreate the village as it once was. And we're working with the archaeologists at the Historical Society to make sure that where the earth lodges are placed are indeed actual to the reality of the real village at that time. We still got a little work to do, especially on the landscaping and everything else, in order to recreate the full village. And just in closing, here's some examples of how we are envisioning using this marriage of 3D and aerial for kind of future visualization projects. Obviously, you saw this one, the preservation of historic sites, reconstruction of accident sites. Ed had also worked in Denver recreating actual accidents for lawsuits to show the real time, the real locations and how an actual accident occurred. Pre-visualization of property developments. We've been contacted by a couple of property developers, one building a mall, another one a high school, that want to build the 3D models to show what their properties will actually look like before they're built. So not only can you show what was back when, but you can show what will soon be. Instructional demonstrations. We're also marrying this with 3D on web browsers. So you'll be able to see 3D, but you'll actually be able to interact with these 3D environments on your browser. And then simulation of events, past and present. So I know some of you have to go, and if you need to take off, feel free to do so, but anybody wants to stick around, ask questions, I'll be here. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot, Mike. And hey,